Welcome to Positive Atheism English channel. Today, in our program Leaves from Gora's Life, I am going to read out you how Gora has come to contact with Gandhi, the father of the nation. From 1923 onwards, Gandhi's name became very popular, for Gandhi started the movement for Indian independence on the lines of non-violence and satyagraha. Anybody who had something to say and wanted Gandhi's opinion can write to him. Gora himself in 1936 wrote to Gandhi once saying that he used the name of God very often and asked him what he meant by it. Gandhi gave a very simple reply that God was incomprehensible. That did not satisfy Gora. So, after he came to Mudunuru and with all the experience in that village life, he wrote to him again sometime in 1941 about his work and then told Gandhiji that he was carrying on that work with the atheistic ideology and wanted his opinion about it. Gora said he would even go to him to exchange the views. He got a card in reply from Gandhi saying that atheism was a denial of self and that he had no time to talk to Gora. Nevertheless, Gora continued his work. He and his workers were not disappointed with the reply that Gandhi gave because of the traditional prejudice against atheism, and Mahatma Gandhi also evidently had the same view of atheism, the same aversion, and so Gora and his workers continued their work. Then, in 1942, Quit India movement came. From that village of Mudunuru, 28 volunteers took part in the political movement. They were imprisoned. For a village of 3,000 population to contribute 28 political fighters was something very astonishing. They could participate in the political movement and go to prison on account of the awakening that atheism caused there. Most of the young men, almost all the young men who were with him at the atheist center, his wife, his sister, his eldest daughter and his eldest son and he were imprisoned for varying periods. Once, twice, thrice they went to prison participating in that non-violent Quit India movement of 1942, and Gora wrote to Mahatma Gandhi again about their work. One of their workers, Sri Ramaswamy, went to Gandhi to join his ashram on recommendation. Incidentally, describing his work, Ramaswamy told Gandhi about the work that they were doing in that village with the atheistic outlook. Mahatma Gandhi got interested in knowing Gora. So he was called to Sevagram ashram in November 1944. That was his first personal contact with Mahatma Gandhi. Of course, he heard him several times in public meetings when he toured all over India several times. There was rarely any person in India that time who did not see Mahatma Gandhi in his public meetings. Mahatma Gandhi toured very extensively in each province. So, this time, Gora went to Sevagram ashram at his call. Mahatma Gandhi never liked anybody to stay with him at the ashram. He wanted the workers to go out and work in their own fields. He wanted them to come to him now and then and report the progress of the work and take instructions and advice. So, 1944 onwards, Gora got his association with Sevagram ashram, though Gora retained his contact with him till Gandhi's assassination in 1948. Gora was not staying there the whole time. He was coming back to Mudunuru or to Patamata later on, but was keeping his contact with Gandhi. His conversations with Mahatma Gandhi on the subject of atheism have come out in a book form called An Atheist with Gandhi, published by Navajivan, which published all in Gandhian literature. There was a long introduction to it by Sri Kishorlal Mashruwala, who was Gandhi's secretary, for that book was written in 1950 after Gandhi's assassination. The details of Gora's contacts with Gandhi were there, but a few incidents which were not mentioned there in that book might be interesting. Gora's contact with Gandhi, apart from the discussions on atheism, revealed to him that Gandhi was an extremely honest person. Gandhi does what he thought was right. The nature of truth may differ from individual to individual as he conceived it, but still, whatever he thought to be the truth, he wanted to put into practice. There was not big philosophy in his life except the way of his life. The way is honest living. He respected honest living everywhere. Persons may differ with him, but he respected the differences provided the other was honest. Gora never attended the prayers which are part of the discipline of the ashram. He lived with him as an atheist. He never objected to that, for he knew that Gora was honest in his conviction of atheism. Once an incident happened. When he was talking with Gora, he asked him whether he was observing brahmacharya. Brahmacharya means celibacy. There was an item of the discipline of the ashram and the Gandhian way of life. Several of the Gandhian workers observed celibacy. When Gora went to him, by that time he had already 8 children. Later, there was a 9th child also. Gora said no. He told him that he denied property and caste to his wife and education to her children, and that there was no social security except goodwill of the people. And so, if he denied himself also to his wife, she might feel very lonely. He told him that celibacy should grow into me due to preoccupation or age, and that he won't take to celibacy on account of his consideration for his wife and a devotion to him. Gandhi, who insisted on celibacy so much, appreciated Gora's stand and said, yes, he didn't insist on it again. So, Gandhi, though he looked so rigid and austere, was very open. He gave everybody liberty, but everybody should be honest to their own convictions. They may differ from individual to individual and from time to time. Whatever conviction had at any time, he must be honest to it. Gora's contacts with Gandhi strengthened his opinion that honesty is very necessary. Honesty is very easy also in one sense. Honesty means do what you say and say what you do. It requires the fancy of a poet to show that a spade is not a spade but a spoon. That is poetic. But to call a spade is very honest and simple. Human imagination runs after fancies, goes poetic rather than honest. That is why many persons indulge in the fancy of dishonesty. But honesty is the basic requirement of social association. Unless one has the faith that the other man do what he says and says what he does, and the other man too has got the same faith on the another that he too do what he say and says what he does, there can be no social relations between one another in the society. That was what Gandhi insisted upon. We cannot be violent if we are honest. Sporadic outbursts of violence or emotion are not very harmful. Often, the person who is subjected to such fits of temper apologizes in the end for losing his temper. What is harmful is violence associated with secrecy and conspiracy. War may be fought openly, but its strategy is rooted in secrecy. That is why Gandhiji objected to secrecy. His affirmacy was secrecy is sin. Whatever you can do openly, do it boldly. He encouraged everybody to do everything very boldly, though it was against his way of life. Gora wrote in his book, An Atheist with Gandhi, what Gandhi told him, that is, go ahead. I encourage you in your work of atheism, though it is against mine. It was because he thought that Gora was trying to lead an honest atheistic life. This lesson of honesty Gora learned and got confirmed owing to his contact with Gandhiji. And from here, we shall continue in the next episode again. Thank you.
For more videos, please subscribe to our Positive Atheism English channel presented by Dr. Samaram Multi-Channel Network, which has more than 18 crore views, and click the bell icon for notification of our new videos.
Please download Samaram Multi-Channel app and watch your favorite channels from your mobile. App available on Google Play Store and subscribe to the channels.